Welcome to the Sleevy G Show. I'm your host, your most. My name is Gomez, and tonight, like every night here at Sleevy on the Sleevy G Show, as you can see, I always mess up my own entrance. I always have a wonderful special guest, and I have to thank the ladies from Kick Up Your Heels Entertainment. I have a truly an amazing special guest. She is very talented, she is very driven, and she has a fantastic voice. I have to say, please welcome Thea Lissi. Thea, welcome to the show. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
Great. I've been waiting for this when Katrina and Rachel set this up for a while,
Yes.
and I've been listening to the music, and I gotta tell you, what a voice.
Thank you.
I can't even compare it to anybody that I've known music wise.
That's the best compliment ever. So thank you so much.
So I would put you way up there with some of the I can't even say I can't even go up. I don't even know how high I can go. I can go high up there. You know,
Yeah.
you can go like a little bit of a little Taylor Swift, a little bit of everybody because you have such an amazing sound.
Thank you.
You know, not even just country songs, but you have like that pop country kind of
So
alternative
yeah.
soul going. So you have like a good mixture.
Thank you.
And
I,
also, I you do a lot of stuff too in the background because I know we just talked for a few seconds before, but you also own a dance company.
yes. Yeah.
So you have a and I thought I was busy. Man, you got me beat. I gotta say that.
I am right now. So I'm like, I have really bad shortness of breath right now. So I want to apologize in advance. Like if I'm look like I'm suffocating, it's because I am. So it's not because of you or the show or anything. I'm trying my best, but yeah, I'm just yeah, sometimes I try to be too many people at once, but we're working on it.
When I understand that fully, I totally
Yeah,
get it. You know,
yeah,
you got to be. I'm like a parent, an employee, a podcaster,
yeah.
and you try to wear so many hats. And what can you do sometimes? I totally get
Yeah.
that.
And then it's like, how do you give away some of those hats when you realize you got too many? I don't know. I haven't figured that out yet.
Don't worry, I'm in the same boat, so I
Yeah,
totally understand. So
yeah,
please don't worry about it. Now,
yeah,
I do have to ask a question. You were definitely young when you were in dance. So I know dance was your first love.
yeah,
So let's take that back in the day a little bit. You fell in love with dance. Dance was your, like, say, therapy, your way of.
yeah.
How did you get into the music part with the dancing career, I guess, is the best question to ask.
Well, I guess, so like dance started when I was 2 and I've always loved it. But I think like the common denominator was always music. It's just a different side of it, like so I was creating or dancing and moving and using music in that way. And I was always inspired by music to dance. It's like if I find a song that I really love or it really makes me feel something, then I want to dance. And so then it just became the other side of it where I guess I just didn't know that I could sing. I always wrote, but it was more like poetry when I was
Hmm.
younger. And so then whenever I was going through a divorce and I was like finding myself again, I started trying new things and then started writing music and I just real like was doing it as an expensive hobby and then realized, okay, I guess maybe I don't suck that bad, like maybe I'm okay at this. And so and then I started doing it full time and now it's like I don't know what I would have done without it because the creating side of music it's kind of the perfect little happy family for me. It's like I get to create music and then go and dance to it, which for instance like I have a song that I haven't released yet, but it's going to be my faculty and like my solo for our recital coming up, and it's a song that's like really deep and emotionally connected for me. But it's year 10 in my studio. And so it's like kind of cool that I got to write this song, create it, record it, and then create a dance to it too. And then we're going to perform it. So getting to do it on both sides has been truly healing and I don't know, just really a great experience for me. So
That's actually a really cool thing because, everyone has their own way of to dance. I know I do. I'm not well, I shouldn't say I'm not graceful. I am kind of graceful. I got yelled at by a teacher once.
that's
Before
good.
that's when you know you're decent. But that's one thing, I have to give anybody who does dance competition, dancing like that competitively and I gotta give so much credit to you guys because I see what my own little girl's doing, and I see the
Yeah,
hard work and the dedication, and she always does so well, and so is her team. Her team like
yeah,
is so
yeah,
amazing. So to
work.
see
Yeah,
that, but to see some of like her other teammates do the solo acts, like you said, like one did with one of my favorite songs from Linkin Park in the end.
yeah,
And I mean, holy Christ, did she kill it? I was
yeah,
just like, wow, like the emotions, the way she did it. I can only imagine how you would
yeah,
do yours. You know what I mean? I
yeah. And it's just to see a different interpretation of, every song, someone might interpret it differently. If I make up a dance to a song, it's going to be maybe completely different to what someone else does. I think that's the beauty of music and creating it too, though, is that you find that people relate to songs
mhm,
and they may have been through something completely different to the situation that you actually wrote it about, but they still relate to it in some way. And that's the beauty of art, but like music in general, is
mhm.
that like people can relate to it in so many different ways. So
That I agree with you. There's songs that I could literally relate, and I know you can too. You know what I
yeah,
mean? Because everybody has their own way of music. Like I know I do.
yeah,
And that's something, I respect. Like I know you had some of your and some of your hit songs, definitely like Bad Guy,
yeah,
that's the first song I heard through Kick Up Your Heels with Katrina and
yeah.
Rachel. They sent me that, and I'm like, wow, what a voice.
Thank you.
And it's kind of funny, especially coming down from Louisiana, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, good
So
old food.
yeah, now we're in Louisiana originally.
It's like Lafayette area.
Okay, my grandfather was from Gonzales. So
Yeah. Oh yeah, yeah. So that's like maybe an hour, I think, from.
yeah,
Yeah,
so I when I visited my grandfather, I would be there for a while. We used to drive
yeah,
out to New Orleans, an hour and 20 minutes away. We used to,
yeah.
so I tell you, the South has a special place for me because I used to love going down to see my grandfather, but I also love the food. I ain't gonna lie, the food was
It doesn't get
always,
better than Louisiana food, honestly.
there is nothing better except Cuban food because I'm half Cuban too. So
Yeah, I could see that, but it's why we're all happy, or happy, we'll see. Like,
yeah,
but people are happier down here.
yeah, no, exactly. Now, the roots that you have come through with your music, and you come through a R&B and pop dancing feel. How
Yeah,
did you combine that with the country music? Like, were you
yeah.
listening to prior people? Like, I'm not sure who your influences. I should ask that. Who were your influences to getting to where you are with the music?
I guess it's like it's evolved and changed so much through my life. So like whenever I was younger, we weren't really allowed to listen to secular music that much. So
Mhm.
unless, or they would say we weren't allowed to listen to it, I should say. And then if they liked it, then we were allowed to listen to it. They, as in my parents.
Mhm. Oh, I
So,
know.
yeah. So I'm like, so if my dad or mom liked the song, we could listen to it. So there was a lot of like Shania Twain that my dad really loved, and my mom loved, and so I was allowed to listen to that. And so I've been very influenced by her music. And then there was like, remember when my dad was in prison? It was like an era of like Carrie Underwood was really big by that
Mhm.
time. So like I know a ton of her songs and loved her. And so there's like certain songs that or artists that I feel like I was influenced by, but then I've always really loved R&B and soul and like and then rap to some extent. Like I listened to a lot of Lil Wayne when I was in high school, and then I think I thought I was Lil Wayne at one point. And then
I could totally get that. Hey, listen, there's everyone goes through their phases.
yeah, I
Everyone
was
goes.
16, what's the difference?
I'll
But
tell you
and
this.
then, yeah, I had like all my different favorites, and but I think with dance, it made it easier. Like I went in through a phase of
Mhm.
really listening to R&B and pop more than country because I was creating dances. So it's like, when you're already working 12 plus hours a day, if you're going to be listening to music, it's going to be something that you're going to choreograph to if you're a dancer like me. So it's kind of difficult to choreograph to country music. I've done a few songs now with the newer like versions of country, but still it's not necessarily meant for dance. And so I wouldn't listen to it as much. And I remember my LA producer told me, he was like, I think you should be in country because he knew I wanted to stay like wholesome and I don't want to curse in music. I don't really curse much in real life in general. It's just not something I've ever like really included in my vocabulary on a regular
Mhm.
basis. like basis. And also like I have a daughter and I have kids at the studio that look up to me, so like that's important to me. So I wanted that to make, be the integrity of my music. And so whenever he said that, at first I was like, really? And then I started to look into it more. And because it had been a few years since I'd really dived into country,
Right.
I realized there was this whole side of country music that wasn't like what I had only been shown because I was only allowed to listen to certain, things. And that there was much more, like Shania Twain would be like a very good example of what I
Mhm.
liked. But, than anything else, I was like, oh, surely it's going to be like very country, like, which is great. And that is like its own thing, but it wasn't me. I wanted like a little soul in it. So then I realized, you know what? I don't need to say what box it's going to be in. I'm going to just make music. They put it in what box they want to put it in. Typically, my songwriting and the way I write music is country and leans country.
Mhm.
Production, it could change. And then I'm like, put it in the box you want to put it in, but I just know if I like the song or not. That
Right, right. I get you.
was a very long answer, so I apologize.
No,
But
it's okay because, it's good to hear because sometimes you don't get a chance to say what you really want to say. I
yeah,
mean, this is what I love what I do about with my show.
yeah,
I let you speak because
yeah,
a lot of interviews are like, okay, that's great, and I don't like that. That's why, like, I'm more like, let's talk.
yeah.
It's
Like
like,
it's just a conversation.
yeah, it's like two friends that you haven't seen each other in a while. And you're just catching over for
Yeah,
either depends on what you like to do. Either drink a cup of coffee, a soda, or you like to drink some kind of alcoholic drink. So,
like a wine.
or a glass of wine. Glass of wine's fine. You know what I mean? So that's what I'm saying. You know what I mean? Like that's what I love what I do because it helps people feel more comfortable. They're
Yeah,
not stressed out.
yeah,
It's a different environment for what I do.
yeah,
And that's why when I remember I had a couple of guests when I was starting, like, well, I'm very nervous. Like, don't be nervous, just be you and enjoy yourself.
yeah,
You know what I mean? And that's something I think you did very well with your music too, because like you said, there's the country, there's the pop, there's a little bit R&B, but there's soul, but there's meaning to your music.
yeah,
So there's a story to tell through your music. Now, one thing I can say, country does have the storytelling music ability.
yeah.
I mean, I've
That's my
listened,
brother. Yeah,
yeah. I mean, me personally, I've listened to Jason Aldean, Gilbert Brantley, Garth Brooks back in the day, Keith, Toby
yeah,
Keith, Kane Brown, some of the biggest names too, but also Shania Twain, Carrie Underwood, Taylor Swift because of my
yeah,
daughter. Yeah, sorry, I had to say that low because
yeah,
she's a Swiftie upstairs. So,
yeah.
but
Charging downstairs.
oh yeah, exactly. So to hear the difference because like me growing up in New Jersey, I grew up in a very hip hop culture.
Yeah,
Because you had Naughty by Nature in New Jersey. They're based out
yeah,
of New Jersey. Wu-Tang Clan is in Manhattan in the city. So for me, growing that up and then listening to West Coast music with Dr. Dre,
yeah,
Eazy-E, and all them, and then you had Eminem. So for me, I was very hip hop based. And then a friend of mine was all about the rock, like Metallica and all that. I'm like, and then I gave him his introduction to hip hop.
yeah,
And then new metal was born. So Limp Bizkit, Korn came out.
yeah,
And I really wasn't into country at that point in my life.
yeah,
And I'm gonna say maybe 6, 7, maybe just about 9 years ago, I was like, why not? Give country a little try. And I tell you, I love the vibe.
yeah.
Eric
And I
Church is
think
another good one.
the more open people are being with like, I think too much in country, maybe where I had steered before was like people felt like they had to fit into this mold of this is country and whatever. And the country music genre is very, um, I don't know the word I'm looking for, but it's like they're very picky. They're very like you don't fit in if you don't
Hmm.
fit in kind of thing. It's like this is the mold, fit in it or you don't. And which some that's what they maybe love about country, and then maybe that's what you call classic country. But I
Right.
think music is not meant to be fit into like this strict mold. Creativity is not meant to be fit into a strict mold. Like anytime you put any strict borders around a creative person, like anyone who's creative knows that is the worst thing you can do. It just inhibits you and you can't be creative. So I think it's kind of like a curse in music, and no artist should be restricted to only creating one like flavor, if you call it,
Hmm.
of music. Like
Yeah.
every season, everything that you go through is going to need something slightly different. And we should have the freedom to do that. And the people who like that, that might change because their tastes are going to be different and they have the right to that.
Yeah.
But I shouldn't have to be restricted to this music. It's like you're either going to like it or you're not. And I think that's where the industry side of it comes in, where it's like a bunch of
It's
puppeteers and puppets, and like where people just need to break free and be like, no,
yeah.
I'm making music that I love, you know?
And that's the key thing, you know, like me personally, it's kind of funny. Everyone was talking about Jelly Roll for a long time, and I'm like,
Yeah,
who is that? You know what I mean? And I might have heard his music once or twice, but I really didn't get into him except for maybe I must say it was a little over a month ago.
yeah.
And one of the songs, actually, I'm trying to find it as we're speaking because it actually was a.
Hallelujah, hard fought, or is it the one that he did with
I'm trying to find it right now.
hard fought Hallelujah with
That's one of them, but there was
yeah,
another song. Once I find it, Lonely Road. No, not that one. That's another great song too. Don't worry, your stuff is on here too, because I
yeah,
mixed it in. You know what I mean? Because like I said, it's kind of funny. I have Shabuzi, Blake
yeah,
Shelton, John Parody, Teddy Swims,
yeah,
Tucker Wetmore, Jelly Rolls in here, Luke Combs, Morgan Wallen, Kane Brown definitely, Wild
yeah,
Ones. I have it twice. Wow, I didn't realize that. Lonely Road is another good one. Like I said, I'm Not Okay by Jelly Roll.
yeah.
So,
That's such a good and honest song.
it is, and I'll be honest with you, like anybody's life, is not all peaches and cream.
Yeah,
Now, you did say earlier, and if you don't mind me bringing this up, you did say
yeah,
your dad went to prison.
yeah,
I'm not sure how old you were when that happened. So
yeah,
I'm assuming you were a young girl
yeah,
when you were
yeah,
dancing. For you, I'm not sure how long your dad was gone.
yeah.
Not sure, if he's still around in your life.
No, yeah, no,
Okay. So I
yeah,
mean that's something
yeah.
and that's something I'm not willing to bring up or talk about, which I want to respect that.
No, I'm very open. I'm like it's a
Oh,
part of the story. It's why I started music,
okay.
honestly. Yeah,
So I guess the question will come down to is like what how was your relationship before your dad went to prison? What happened when he went to prison? I guess is the
yeah,
question.
yeah.
Like,
So I was like, I think I was 13-ish. It was right before I went to high school. So we were homeschooled, and then we had to finally go to like public school because he went to prison, and it was like a long trial. And so he finally went, and then my mom stayed with him for like a few years of him being in prison. So like we had to go every week and travel to visit him and all of that. So I think the toxicity and the brainwashing and all of that kind of carried on for a bit. But I was always kind of the black sheep, if you will, compared to my siblings. They would
mhm,
call me because I guess called out things more so than maybe some of the others would at that point.
mhm.
Because I just knew things were wrong. And I think slowly a lot of my siblings have realized that too. Um, and there's 11 of us. So, that's a lot of kids.
It's a lot of kids. I was the only child, so wow.
Yeah.
Okay,
And,
11 kids.
my mom still wasn't allowed to work when he was in prison. So my oldest brother that was home at the time, who was 16, I think at the time, uh, had to like start a business and provide for us. And then we lived in a camper for a long time, all the things. And then she finally left because our family like convinced her that it was safe. He couldn't take her life while he was in prison, which he had tried and many times in front of us and whatever. So that's a whole nother part of the story.
Right.
Um, but so he was in there for until I think it was like 3 or 4 years, and so right before I graduated high school, he got out, and he just wanted things to be normal. And I think at that point we had all had enough of a like distance between the brainwashing and the manipulation, which for anyone who's ever like been in that situation, that it's really an internal battle where you
Mhm.
don't really know what's reality and you struggle with it. And there was like such a guilt because he always like pinned everything on us, like, oh, I forgive you, blah, 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 and you just thought, okay, well, I
We're
must
all
be
okay.
wrong if you're saying you forgive me or whatever. And so then like a year later, he committed suicide. And so, it's been 14 and a half years now. And so that's its own struggle too, because he also left in a way where he sent a message to us all saying, I love and forgive you. And that was the last thing he said. So, I've gone through a lot of therapy, need a lot more of it. But, it's like I write a lot because I feel like it's just it's real stuff. And I just got so tired of pretending like everything was okay. And that's what I was taught and that's what I was shown. But it wasn't okay. And I feel like the only reason we weren't protected from a lot of the things that happened to us was because evil could hide in the darkness. And when you shed light on it and when you're open about what's happening and you're honest about it,
Hmm.
sure, it's very vulnerable and it can be embarrassing or it could be all these things, but you're not the only one. And it's the only way that it can be exposed and hopefully stopped. So that's like really deep, I guess, but it's also the
No, but it's
truth.
the truth though. That's,
Yeah,
like you say, it's part of your life. It's part of your story. I mean, unfortunately, I lost my dad a little over 20 years ago, and unfortunately, he died very young at 51.
yeah,
He was very sick. He passed away with cancer,
yeah,
and he's missed a chunk of my life now. You know what I mean? And that's not easy. I
yeah,
mean, I was very tight with my dad. I'm tight with my mom. Don't get me wrong, but to the day I got engaged, to the day I got married, to the day I had my first and my second born,
yeah.
to
All those
seeing
memories. Yeah,
all the memories and seeing my wife's parents, how happy they are,
yeah,
and then I'm seeing my mom with just my uncle. It's a different feel, like that emptiness.
yeah.
You
And it's
know,
like, and you don't want to feel mad or like, angry about
yeah,
it. I think any person like deep down, it's like you see that and we all want or wish that we still had, or like, not that I wish the version of him that I had was here, but
you wish
I
you had
wish
the
I
better
knew what
version.
healthy parents looked like, or, there is that small part of me that envies that whenever I see it in other people. No, I don't act on that, but it makes it hard to see because it reminds you of the loss that you have. And so I think that's an internal struggle for any person, whether you lose them and they were a healthy parent or you lose them and they weren't. It's that's a natural and a normal desire is to have parents around for those important life events. And it's like, and it's just hard. It's a grieving process that kind of never ends.
And that's something I gotta, because I know you said you were married, and you divorced and you have your daughter. I
Yeah.
mean, you have one, or how many children do you have? Just one.
Yeah.
Okay. And to see the passion that you have and trying to make sure, as a single mother now, I should
Yeah.
say, I gotta commend you because it's not easy.
Thank you.
You're working pretty much like two jobs. You
Yeah.
know, dance, dance owner of a dance company plus your music, and
Yeah.
making sure you raise your daughter properly. Anybody who does that gets 100% all due respect, because it's not easy. I mean, my wife and I, we sometimes can struggle, but at the end of the day, we have to make sure our kids
Yeah.
are priority, and we have to support them as much as we can.
Yeah.
And
And it's the hardest job on there.
it is, it's funny. They say when you have a second child, it gets easier. I don't know what people, I'll say this out loud. I don't know what some of these people were smoking, man. Having two kids is harder than having one. I
Yeah.
will say that. I mean,
I
but
could I could see that. I'm always like, oh, I don't know about that. I don't know about having another kid.
But I'll tell you, my youngest keeps me on my toes, and my daughter she is me in the girl version.
Yeah.
Smart mouth, talk back, smart answered, and hard headed like her dad.
Yeah.
And I'm very proud of her. I will say that. She's a little bit smarter than her dad. I'll give her that much. She's a
You're like,
student.
okay, progress. Yeah.
She is the progress. She got her mom's looks and her mom's brain, but she's got my brawn and stubbornness and my height. So but I could say
Yeah.
she is her mom too. And seeing her, it's kind of funny because I work a lot, just like you do.
Yeah.
And it's kind of funny. I feel like I see her grow up, and I'm seeing her turn into a lovely, lovely young lady with a mouth, because she is from Jersey. She,
Yeah. And
you know,
she's got a backbone. It's
oh,
good.
that she does. I'll give her that. She will. she'll throw down.
Yeah.
She'll throw it down if she
With her
needs to.
hand.
I taught her well. I told her one thing
Yeah.
is like bullying is always a big thing.
Yeah.
Me growing up, I'll even give it a little short story. I grew up and I got left back in grammar school. Didn't like the fact that my mom did that, but I think right now as I'm older, I think it was the better choice. You know what I mean? Leaving me back. I was always made fun of because I got left back. I was the tallest. I was the biggest. I was,
Yeah.
it was very hard. I hit a growth spurt at fourth and fifth, and up to my years of high school. I ended up being 6'2", 285 pound kid.
Yeah.
But I had anger issues, and controlling it was sometimes very difficult.
Yeah.
And I was bullied, and then I bullied back. I got into fights.
Yeah.
One thing I told her is don't take people's crap.
Yeah.
You know, if they say something negative towards you, walk away. See, and that's the difference between now and what it was when I was growing up.
Yeah.
Because back in my day, well, I wouldn't say back in my day. It should. I mean, I'm only 45, but I feel like I'm 55 because of how the times have
Yeah.
changed. But back in it was settled by fists. And no
Yeah.
matter if you're a girl or a guy, it don't matter back in those days. Now it's politically correct, PC, this and that, and it's difficult
Yeah.
because I feel the words are now more hurtful than they were back in the day.
Well, and also I think it's I always try to tell my daughter at least like when the way people treat you is a reflection of them.
Hmm.
It's and it's so hard to stick to that. And I deal with it a lot, especially with like dance parents and whatever, like the things that happen. Sometimes I'm like, wow, like I literally bend over backwards for these people and they're going to be this awful. But it's because it has nothing to do with me. It never did and it never will.
Hmm.
It's what they're going through in their own life. And the second you realize that, and then you realize I'm only responsible for how I react to it. I can't change how they treat me. I can change how I react. And if I'm at least proud of how I react and proud of how I handle myself, and I can choose to remove myself from this situation and no longer like, you know, intertwine our lives if that's the case.
Hmm.
If they are continuing to be that way, but then it kind of changes that perspective, but also changes the way you allow it to affect you. And I think for kids especially, it's important because kids can be so ugly, but that all stems from it's like you don't know what they're going through at home. I realize that with kids that I teach, and it's like anytime they're acting up, 9 times out of 10, there's something going on at home. And I know that I had a lot of crazy stuff going on at home that no one knew about. So I can only imagine. Um, so I think it's that's the hard part is like stand up for yourself, have that
Hmm.
back, but like also see the thing behind the person, whatever that emotion is or whatever it is. Like there's something deeper than just this person that's
Right.
triggering it. So
But I gotta commend you because as probably a hell of a singer and one great songwriter. I mean, you put a lot of energy into everything that you're doing, and especially with your daughter. I mean, just the way you're talking, how passionate you are, you could hear it because even in your music, like I know people listen to music, but this is how I'm kind of like I could say old school is hearing the music.
yeah,
It's listening to what the words say.
yeah,
To even sometimes looking up the lyrics to see what you're trying to
yeah,
say.
yeah. Because I
Because
have an accent. So
yeah, well, it doesn't accent don't matter. I'm from New Jersey. They say I have an
yeah,
accent, and I mean yours. I totally get it, but
yeah,
it's not
yeah,
like holy Christ, what did you say? No, it's
yeah,
it's perfectly fine. But that's the thing. But the people don't realize that some like musicians like yourself and songwriters, you have a message,
yeah,
and sometimes it's clear as day, but they're thinking it's just you writing music. They don't realize it's part of your life,
yeah. So true.
and
And I love
that's
that they can dig into it. Like my hope is that people listen to it, and each time they listen to it, or like you said, look up lyrics or whatever it is, that they get a little more from it and a little more from it, and then it's almost like you're reading the book, but you've already read it, but you just understand it a little more and a little more.
yeah. Whoa, sorry. Yeah, no, I hit something on my phone. I wanted to,
Okay.
like you have nice little library too on Spotify because that's where I listen to most of my music.
Yeah.
And if anybody, well, that will be listening to the show, I will say this: if you go on to Spotify, you have right now, you have "Sweeter," which is another great song.
Thank you.
"Bad Guy," your multi-platinum hit right there. I'll say that now because I can, because I know it will. You had "Best Mistake." I don't. "Passing Me the Lighter." And I'm reading this right off, guys. Well, you can't see, yeah, you can see it right here on my phone a little
Yeah.
bit. You know what I mean? So, I mean, you have some amazing songs out.
Yeah.
You know, "Best Mistake" is one of
I love
two
that
of my
one.
favorites. One of two of my favorites. I do like "Bad Guy" too. I will say that because that was the first song
Yeah.
I heard when I was introduced to have you on the show.
Yeah.
And to seeing you and talking to you tonight, I will say you see another light because that's the whole thing with me.
Yeah.
Everyone's like, "Oh, you should," everyone wants to see that star and stuff. You know what? No, I want to see who you are.
Yeah.
I want people to see who you really are.
Yeah.
And some people don't know the stories, like, about your dad and about your mom.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think that's what I feel that interviews miss.
Yeah.
Some of, like major news companies or radio stations, like they don't want to dig in the dirt because people think they're not interested, but they are. They want to know who, if you're listening to music and you're buying their music, you want to know who that person is. And,
Yeah.
and Thea, I gotta say, you made an incredible journey
Thank you.
from where you started to where you are now.
Yeah.
If you think about it, like you said, you grew up on the poor side. Your brother, who was 16, had to start a business
Yeah.
to support his family. I commend your brother on that. And you're one of 11 kids.
Yeah.
Like, that's not easy. I mean, God bless you and your family
Yeah.
because I hope your brothers and sisters are all tight to this day.
Yeah. For the most part, we really are. And I think because of that, it's like we only got through it all because of each other, and
Mhm.
um, it's, it's been an interesting journey to say the least, and um, yeah, it's, I guess it's one of those things that it's like until you talk about it,
Mhm.
like one of my sisters, we've recently gotten even closer than we already were. And she's very like going through a lot of therapy too. And it's like very, open-eyed to the reality of our situation. And so it's really refreshing to talk to her.
Mhm.
But the more we talk about it, it's like when you say it out loud, you realize how effed up it is.
Mhm.
And it's like you get so used to detaching from it. Like for me, at least, it's like I detach when I speak about it so that I can like stay emotionally intact, I guess. And you get used to doing that, which is okay in those moments when you need to, but it's also not okay to always do that because then you're just suppressing it and that's not healthy either. And and I guess so it's just been like a journey of realizing like, man, that was really effed up. Like,
Yeah, I get you. Yeah,
like
no, it's not easy.
yeah. And it's like in accepting that that's the reality
Mhm.
and that it's okay that I'm not okay. Like,
I'm not okay. No,
Jelly
I
Roll said,
know I'm not.
yeah.
I mean, it's kind of funny, like you said, seeking therapy. I do. I go once a week.
Yeah, I think everyone needs to. It's like even if you had what you think is a cookie cutter childhood, it's like there's always something
There's
that,
more to it.
yeah, and there's like something that you could work through to just be a better human at the very least. But I think everyone's trauma is relative to their own life, and it's
Hmm.
still very valid in my opinion.
I think I've become more of like a nice. I'm not going to say I'm 100%, but I could say I do preach mental health
Yeah,
because it's part of what has happened. If you think about when we got hit with COVID,
yeah,
right there mentally, you're you're encaged in your own home. You
yeah,
can't go out. You couldn't go to the mall. Couldn't go
yeah,
to the movies. Can't go to the supermarket.
yeah.
You're in your house 24/7. You had to wear a mask to
Yeah.
even like I
Like
wasn't
human
a
connection was just like, meh.
yeah, if you think about it, I mean my daughter who is now 8 years old, she was born before COVID.
Yeah,
Unfortunately, my son was born born during COVID. And
COVID baby.
he was, but he was actually a planned COVID baby. You
Yeah,
know, we were trying
yeah.
for a couple
Well,
of
we
years.
call them COVID babies and like with students because you can tell there's a difference between
Oh yeah.
like just how kids behave in class that were born during that time because of the isolation and stuff.
Yeah. So
Wow, it affects them, you know?
and and I have to give my son a lot of credit. He's got a lot of energy.
Yeah.
He's either going to be a WWE superstar or he's going to be one hell of a football player for some team. I can tell you that this kid's a brute. He's got tree trunk. He's got little tree trunk for legs. I can say that much. And the kid,
Yeah.
he's only 4 years old. He's strong
Yeah.
and he scares me.
Yeah.
I never thought I'd say a 4 year old scaring me,
Yeah.
but he's a happy-go-lucky kid. He is trying his hardest because again, COVID baby is different from a child that was born before COVID
Yeah.
or way after COVID. So
Yeah.
he's in preschool. He's doing very well, and I'm happy that he's doing well. We have to help him more because, again, just to get him more acclimated.
Yeah.
The first year after COVID, it was very difficult because we're trying to bring him out to the real world. He's very isolated from the world. So it's like
Yeah.
overwhelming. So when we did our Disney trip, he did very well. I
Sure.
like I was very worried, because we're going to Disney and he's not used to seeing all these people. But
Yeah. But he was like,
he
this is heaven. Yeah.
he did so well. Like, and you might know how it is because sometimes you have to be away from your daughter once in a while because of you have to do a show or a mini tour close by, and to seeing him at 4 years old to adapt just like probably like you did as a young girl and now
Yeah.
your daughter too,
Yeah.
how they have to adapt to the lifestyle a little bit. I was surprised because he really like opened my eyes, but then when you're together,
Yeah.
it's like the best feeling in the world when you're like, wow.
You're like, that's my little human.
Yeah.
Proud of him. Yeah.
And that's my as I call my little buddy. So,
Yeah.
and but like I said, the passion and the love for your music is unlike anybody who I've ever talked to.
Well, thank you.
I've talked to a few musicians and I've heard their music and I listen to their words, but yours definitely tells the story of you.
Thank you.
You know, I gotta, I just, God, I almost want to cry during this episode. I feel like because it's just a heart form, your
Yeah.
story, your perseverance, you relied on yourself a lot too with your family, your brothers and your sisters, and how where you came from and how you really overcame
Yeah.
is amazing thing, Thea. I mean, I don't know if anybody's ever said it to you, but
Thank you.
if they don't, you got to hear it once in a while.
Yeah.
And I got to say that because to seeing the raw honesty of who you are, it's an amazing thing.
Thank
You
you.
you are truly amazing, and your voice is so amazing. And I know I use that word a lot, but it is the truth.
Thank you.
You know,
That means
and I'd say this. I'm looking forward to hearing once you do your recite. I'm looking forward to hearing the new song soon,
yeah.
hopefully,
Yes.
because I,
Yeah. Another permanent ink. I haven't like officially announced it because I've just been drowning basically. But
but you got your company you got to worry about too. So
yeah, yeah. So my recitals next Saturday, then I'll have a little breath. But May 30th, I have another song coming out. It's called Permanent Ink. So I'll be promoting that one soon, but it's official that it will be definitely coming out that day. And then I'm going to record a few more, after recital. So
and also, are we thinking albums soon, like a full set album?
like if the songs keep doing great, I have at least 30 songs that I've just been waiting to record that are done, ready to record, that I know I want to cut.
Mhm.
Like I want to record them myself. And then I have more that I may pitch, whatever. But so I'm ready for an album whenever everyone else is ready for an album, basically.
I am. I know
Yeah.
I am. I'll raise my hand. I'll say it because I think you're very talented. The voice is unreal, and the way you bring country, pop, R&B, and soul music into it is just nothing that's out there right now.
Thank you.
You know,
That's
I'm
cool, you know.
and you set a standard for it because when you hear like Jelly Roll, Luke Combs, uh,
Yeah,
everybody, you know, the big names too.
yeah.
I would say you're going to be up there with them
Thank you.
because you have a story and a lot of people can relate to your story and they're going to see that in your music as I see it in you right now. As we're doing this, as I know via Zoom, but I could
Yeah,
see your personality. I could see it in your eyes. I could see it.
yeah,
And you're very humbled. And that's something that's great because you know what it is when people get that superstardom, they
yeah,
forget. But
yeah,
with you, I could
yeah,
see it.
yeah.
You're
No,
gonna.
I'm like, if I ever get that way, you have my permission to slap me upside the head.
I
But I,
wouldn't do that, but I will call you out on it. But I don't think I'm
yeah,
ever gonna have to do that because
yeah,
I could see it there that
mm,
you remember who was there for you.
yeah.
You don't forget, and that's something like that's me.
And I know all those things aren't important. It's like, that's not going to make me happy. Nothing, none of those things ever have. But what is fulfilling to me is my trauma having a purpose or like a meaning,
Hmm.
and that's what music gives it. That's what dance gives it. It's like, okay, I didn't go through that for nothing.
Hmm.
And I'm like, if I do work with big artists one day, it would be my greatest honor to be able to help people write about their trauma too, because I know how it feels to suffocate it, and
Hmm.
like suppress that all. And I think it's such a beautiful thing when you start like opening up and healing happens whenever you're honest about what really happened and you let it out, and then so many more people will be healed if they write about their story too. So I do feel like that's a big part of my purpose, is maybe not even like is to sing and write my own, but I do feel like there will be another wave of where maybe I'm involved in helping other people tell their story too. So
Definitely, and I love that. And I would say this: I hope you know. It feels like your dreams are coming true for you,
yeah,
and I could see it. And I could tell you this: I hope that you get up there and I see you at the CMT Awards or even the Grammys, you know, hopefully. I really I am shooting for you, I'm rooting for you, I'm
yeah,
praying for you because I usually don't say that. And like me, I always root for the people I feel like they're gonna do the best, and I know you will. I could see
yeah.
it, you know.
Thank you.
But I will ask one question, one last question.
Yeah.
If you had your choice to collaborate with one, it could be male or female country singer. Who would it be?
Dang, can I pick like a male and a female?
Sure. I'll even give that. I'll give you that. I'll give you that.
I think Shania Twain would be the female because she's just like a long-standing like icon that I love what she's done in music
Hmm.
in general. And then I think Jelly Roll would be the the guy, if I had to pick, because I love his vulnerability and I feel like he's on this healing journey of
Hmm.
that, and like that's something I would love to be a part of. And um, and having a dad that went to prison, and then I know he's been in jail. So there was just
Yeah,
like a lot of things that like he's been through that I can relate to in some way, maybe even just slightly different. That I think it would be really cool to write music with, and yeah. So
oh, definitely. I hope your dreams do come true. You
yes,
know,
thank you.
I really do, Thea. And I gotta say, hearing your story is just unreal too, because I don't think anybody really asked you these type of
Yeah,
questions like I did. Like I said, I don't have a script.
yeah,
I go off by what I listen and what you say, and that's
yeah,
why,
yeah,
you know, I do what I do. This is why I make it interesting, my shows. And
yeah,
I gotta tell you, this show had emotions, but we talked about everything we could think of, you know what I mean, in just a short amount of time.
yeah. And I
And
appreciate you letting me, so
oh no, listen, anytime you want, you're always welcome on the show.
thank you.
You know, and pretty much all my guests have that door, you know.
Yeah,
You know, I mean, we'll talk after we're done recording, but I'd love to have you back on too. You know what I mean? Again, because your story is just amazing and what you're doing is amazing. And
thank you.
I'm really looking forward to seeing you on that next plateau for you. So I'm rooting for you. Everyone who's going to listen to the show is going to be rooting for you too.
Yes,
So
thank you.
we all believe in you. And, you know, as this is how I always say every night is like, here we go. Thea is a great example. I say this to everyone in my show, but her struggles, the challenges that she's faced from the age of 13 on, growing up, dad goes to prison, things happen, family's togetherness, brother had to start his own business, and you've become a dynamic dancer and songwriter and singer. To see you overcome all that, it's your dream that's coming true. And that
Yeah.
is the truth.
Yeah.
And that's how I always say it because it is true. I'm living out my dream as a podcaster like this. I might not have the money like these bigger names have, but you know what? I love what I do, and this is why I
Yeah.
do it.
That's
People
the
see
most
the
important.
this is what I love to do because you see the truth,
Yeah.
and I love it. And I can't wait for the new single to drop.
Thank you.
I cannot wait for it. I can't wait to hear it. That's for sure. And I'm looking forward to seeing the other 30 songs that we know she has and she's got to record. I'm looking forward to it
Yeah.
too. I'm looking forward to hopefully seeing you in a music video soon. You know,
Yeah.
you
All
know,
the
everything. So I definitely have to say that. Before we definitely say goodnight, Thea, tell everyone where they can actually find you and your music.
Yeah, so pretty much, so I have a website, it's thealissi.com, thealissi.com. And then I'm on pretty much all the social medias, but they're also linked to that website. But at Thea Lissi on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, you name it. And then I'm on Spotify, Apple Music, all the things under Thea Lissi. So it's, if you remember those two names, then you got it.
Well, don't worry. I will be posting your links too on the show.
Awesome.
Thea, I can't thank you enough for coming on. You are
Thank,
truly an inspiration.
thank you. That means a lot.
And I'm going to say that. And, I also have to thank Katrina and Rachel for Kick Up Your Heels Entertainment for introducing me to you. And, you are always welcome here on the show anytime you want. You could send me an email, hit me up, whatever. You're always welcome on the show.
Thank you. And thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Oh, no, I appreciate you taking your time. Thank you so much. And I gotta say this, guys, you can see the dreams do come true for everybody. We do work hard. We are working every day, and we try to make for our children, for our families, for ourselves, a better life, as you could see. And here's Thea, and she's doing it too, just like I am. So, guys, I always say it's nothing but love, peace, and happiness. Good night, everybody.